Hi class, I hope everyone is having a great spring semester and enjoying our BSL 6311 English for Specific Purposes course. This is a course that we typically only offer in spring semester, so that is why we have a large group of students, because I did not want classmates who wanted to be in this course wait for another year to take it. This is a course that typically students find it out of their comfort zone, because typically we are used to ESL and EFL teaching pedagogies and understanding of English for general purposes. So when we are introduced to ESP, we pause and think about, sometimes we say, like it is it's a topic that we did not consider before under the big umbrella of TESOL. So, and TESOL organization has its own interest section of ESP. So they have, like last week I have shared the newsletter. A newsletter comes out, and they're very active in the field. So today, what I'll be discussing is Learning English for Specific Purposes, Chapter 6. Actually, it's not Chapter 5, my bad. Chapter 5 will be covered, is covered by Jia Rong, and we will be your cool discussion leaders this week. One of the things that our short chapter 6 discusses this week is the characteristics of ESP learners. So far from what we read, we know that this is a very learner-based approach. What we mean by that is the learner is at the center of course design. And the biggest evidence for that is the needs analysis that we conduct with our learners. And not only with learners, the administrators that invest in such courses for their learners to be, or employees to be successful in. So we find out about their language proficiency, what they need, and the same goes with finding out what the stakeholders want out of this course. We take into account, of course, like in any teaching we do, the learning styles of our of our students. And we'll be looking into an article this week, which is basically a chapter from a recent ESP book. And we'll talk about what we mean by that very shortly. But then, based on the learning styles, we apply certain teaching strategies for our learners to be successful, right? And learn the material. When we typically look into the ESP learners, we say that they have the subject knowledge. This may not necessarily be true for the ESL, EFL learners, in the sense that in those classes, if you're teaching adult learners, the adults, the people in the class are from different disciplines, right? Not necessarily all of them are doctors, all of them are engineers, or all of them are musicians. But in the context of ESP, they're all, let's say, we'll see in that article too, they're all working in the call center, they're all working in the hospital, or they're all working in the same place, in the same place. The same goes with the knowledge of the ESP practitioner. Not necessarily, as we have been seeing, they have the subject knowledge, and that's why we've been discussing that it is not the easiest job to have, because we need to familiarize ourselves with the content. We know the language piece of it, but the content is also an important, of course, one of the biggest the core of the whole discussion is how we teach the content through language. And the other thing, we know that ESP learners are quite motivated. They have specific expectations, and they are goal-driven. Another brief topic our chapter discusses is the 3 main considerations for ESP learning. It is level of expertise, the ESP context, and variations in communication across fields. What we mean by level of expertise is if our students have been in their profession for a long time, how we design the course when we're keeping the content in the center of it will be different versus some of the professionals who are, let's say, new in their fields. For example, they've only started to be in the, let's say, call centers for just a couple of months, versus you might teach lawyers who have been in the field for at least 5 to 10 years or more. The other is the context that we teach. There are academic contexts that we teach ESP, and non-academic contexts where the employer is an entity, not, you know, is a company owner, and or is not affiliated with the university. And the variation in communication across fields mean, depending on what we teach, it may highly focus on, for example, the speaking skills. It could be about business English, about businessmen giving presentations. So they may not use the writing skills as much as the speaking. So we focus on more so about, you know, pronunciation, the intonation, and all of those things that come with presenting in front of an audience, for example. The other thing I'd like to discuss today is our article, which is a chapter from Lawrence Anthony. It is a new publication, 2018. Just like our book, Routledge publication. The reason I chose this chapter as part of our reading this week was it provided a great example, a context to what we have been studying, and it was the example of call center employees, and talking about their needs, creating learning objectives accordingly, the materials and methods that could be used, the evaluation process. So it provides a great background. It has an opening reflection on the first page, I believe, of the document. And it builds up on and explaining the 4 important pillars, components of the ESP. So one of the first pillars that the chapter discusses is the needs analysis. As we have been mentioning, understanding the learner needs is very important, and we can do that through an open-ended question that we provide to our learners, a rating scale that provides information about, let's say, so how would you rate your writing, reading, speaking, and listening skills, right? From 4 being the best to 1. And then you can have various surveys. One thing I'd like to briefly talk about is for your needs analysis assignment. It's coming up on the 24th. Please make sure that you look at the examples I have provided from previous semesters to guide you with the questions that you're forming about your topic. And your topic needs to be decided before then. I've been having Zoom conversations with the classmates who have joined me about finalizing their topics, because needs analysis, discourse, text analysis, and the syllabus all needs to be in the same topic. It cannot be about different topics that you choose. So you also ask, as we discussed with the stakeholders in the previous slides, management team, their expectations. And for example, you ask them what kind of questions do the employees receive. You ask about their previous exposure to the English language and the employee's educational background. You then ask about how many students and how long this course is going to take. One of the best things that I thought throughout our readings summarized the needs analysis very well, and that was the sentence of ESP courses start with questions about necessities, lacks, and wants. About the learning objective, of course, like in any class we teach, we need to have objectives, right? What are the outcomes? What do we want our learners to achieve at the end of the course? Because as an ESP instructor, practitioner, you may not be familiar with the content. You never taught this class, for example, before, and you need to come up with the objectives. It gives a great suggestion about reflect on your own experiences. If it's call center, reflect on your own experience connecting to the call center and your what went well, what went wrong, strengths and weaknesses. Find out about the skills needed by call center operators. Gather information about sample call interactions, and then once you review all the expectation materials, set learning objectives. It talks about the materials and methods. We're going to have a whole session about this, about how to incorporate materials, because as we know in the ESP profession, not necessarily every course has a textbook. Common like medical English, business English, aviation English will have textbooks, but not necessarily, let's say, a topic that you're studying. It could be ESP for parents, ESP for correctional officers, and so forth. And then based on that, when we were talking about learning styles and learning strategies, for example, for the call center, you'll decide if you want to do time-to-time pair work, group work, or role plays between you being the customer, the other person, A being the customer, the other person being the call center representative. So we'll apply our various teaching materials. The teaching methodologies that we know. And it also cautions us in, and we'll discuss that too, the authentic materials when it is, for example, in call center. We need to make sure that they're not full of noises and it's authentic, it's great, but you don't want the learners to be distracted by the lack of quality of the material. I mean, the authentic material. And lastly, it talks about evaluation at the end of the course. We want to find out how much our learners improved and for example, how many participants started the course, how many completed it, the success rate. There are ways of doing like qualitative, right? Interviewing them, open-ended questions, and quantitative, giving them a survey in the rating scale about their experience, and then an overall course evaluation, like in any course, right? What were the things that we could reflect on the course we have taken. It does, the end of the chapter provides very good information also, since we're running out of time, about who should be teaching ESP. So the discussion continues. Should it be someone who's knowledgeable in the content, the language, or team teaching of both instructors being in the same